Hola Brawlers, I hope you're doing amazing. Welcome back to Eternal Brawl. And if this is your first time visiting our channel, I am Iz, your game host manager. Very excited to be here with you today because I'm gonna introduce another character from Eternal Brawl, a very well-known figure in literature. But before I jump in, I want to remind you all that you can summon all of these characters in our game with summoning stones. Summoning stones are currently in their pre-sale and they will end soon. And for all the brawlers who have 5 or more summoning stones, you will be able to get our space token earlier and at a cheaper price. So if you want to get that opportunity to buy that in that way, get your summoning stones now before they run out. Go to eternalbrawl.io and start packing up your bags with these stones that will give you so many cool things in the game. So, anyhow, without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Count Dracula. Dracula was an undead, which means he is diseased, but he's actually alive. He was a centuries-old vampire and also a Transylvania nobleman. Dracula is a very handsome and charismatic aristocrat who lives in a decaying castle in Transylvania. Now, he also showed to be very proud of his boyar heritage. Boyar is basically a member of the aristocracy in Russia in the old times, and it's next in rank to a prince. He was very proud of this heritage. Dracula was also nostalgic for the past, because he believed that the present was just a memory of the heroism, the valor, and the honor that existed in the past times. Dracula was immortal. He possessed the strength of 20 or more men. He could shapeshift and he could control bats and wolves. But his weaknesses lie in that he is afraid of the cross and of exposure to sunlight, since this is lethal to him. But most menacingly to the human race is that Dracula feeds on our blood, on the blood of the living for sustenance. Before becoming an undead, Dracula studied the black arts. He had a learning capacity beyond compare, and with time he gathered a very deep knowledge of alchemy and magic. And also, there was no branch of knowledge that he did not try. He was curious and he learned about everything. So, to achieve immortality and to postpone his death, Dracula used his arcane knowledge and everything he knew to turn himself into a vampire. That is one of the reasons that Dracula is very different from other vampires, because most vampires in popular culture are fathered by another vampire, or just come from a different way. But Dracula seems to have been a self-made creature of the night. And also, he possesses many abilities and weird powers that other vampires don't possess. With his rank and status as a voivod, which is a military leader or a warlord in Central, Southeastern, and Eastern Europe, he led troops against the Turks. And according to his nemesis, Abraham Van Helsing, he was no common man, for in that time and for centuries after, he was spoken of as the cleverest and the most cunning, as well as the bravest of the sons of the land beyond the forest. When Dracula died, he was buried in a great tomb in his chapel. But boom, he returned from the dead as what he had turned himself into, a vampire, and ended up living for centuries and centuries in his castle with 3 terrifyingly but beautiful vampires known as his brides. Although Dracula was known for his cordiality and all this handsome and beautiful aristocrats, he was also known for his fits of rage. This happened when things did not go his way or when people just disobeyed him, basically anytime his plans got frustrated. One time, when one of the brides, the female vampires that he used to live with, tried to seduce Jonathan Harker, which was an English solicitor who was a prisoner of Dracula. Dracula was so mad that he physically assaulted the bride and then ended up berating the other ones ferociously for their insubordination. Dracula was very proud of his warrior heritage. He proclaimed his pride to Harker, saying the Zekali people are infused with the blood of heroes. The Zekalis are a Hungarian subgroup, basically who live in the Zekali land in Romania. Now, Dracula had a somewhat primal and predatory worldview. Well, he pitied ordinary humans for their revulsion to their darker impulses and for letting their emotions get into them and get the best of them. However, Dracula did accept that he can also feel love. Dracula is a very interesting, curious, intelligent character with some odd views. I am liking learning about him. What do you think? What do you think about our darker impulses as humans and how we deal with them? Let me know. Moreover, Dracula possessed great wealth and had Romani people in his homeland loyal to him as his servants and protectors. Additionally, Dracula is portrayed as having superhuman abilities, but it is believed that he gained these abilities through dealings with the devil. Oh God, so scary. Halloween season, everyone. Anyhow, indeed, and I'm gonna tell you some of the abilities following. One of the creepiest characteristics of Dracula is that he does not cast a shadow or have a reflection in the mirror. Can you imagine that? Oh my God, like just walking by a mirror, you look at yourself and you see nothing. Oh God, it would give me the chills. Yes. Oh, wow. Yes. Additionally, Dracula is immune to conventional ways of attack. One time, a sailor tried to stab him with a knife from his back, and the blade went right through him as if it was air. Crazy, right? Also, Dracula can defy gravity at some extent and has superhuman agility as he is able to climb and go vertically upside down through walls in a reptilian manner. Indeed. And if it hasn't been enough, everyone, Dracula also possesses telepathic, illusionary, and hypnotic abilities that allow him, within limitations, to appear and also vanish when he wants to. You know, I had to add one more cool thing about Dracula. Actually, 3 more cool things. First of all, similar to Zeus, he can manipulate the weather and he can direct elements such as fog, storms, and mist. Now, one of the most beautiful things he can do, which I would love to do, is that when the moonlight is shining, he can convert himself into elemental dust and travel with the rays of the moonlight. Beautiful! This way, he can pass through tiny cracks. And finally, really finally, it's the one you've probably heard of the most. But Dracula has the ability to convert others into vampires. Yes, to convert others into vampires by biting them. And that is when you get the curse of immortality. If you get bitten by Dracula, then you will have to live for centuries and continue spreading evil in the world and converting others into vampires. Because once you become a vampire, if you were bit by Dracula, then you have to continue to kill your own kind. Basically, you go from human to vampire to killing your own kind and proclaiming more and more vampires. Yikes, crazy, but extremely fascinating. Parenthesis, this is a different vampire world, but any Twilight fans here? Oh my God, I was obsessed with those movies and I loved the vampires in them. So cool, but also the wolves were on fire. Tell me, were you team the wolves or the vampires? This is a little off track. Let's get back on track. Dracula, sadly, did have an ending to his life. Van Helsing, which was his nemesis, which we mentioned earlier, remember? Well, Van Helsing was a legendary monster hunter, and he destroyed Dracula by decapitating him with a kukri, which is a type of machete. And while this happened, another man tore Dracula's heart with a Bowie knife. Dracula became dust. Nevertheless, Dracula is also a promising character in our game Eternal Brawl. You might be wondering, how? Well, let's check out the skills. With his comprehensive ability of 80, Dracula is a character to be feared on the battlefield. He also has an attack mode of 80 and a defense mode of 66. Dracula has an explosive force of 78 and a control level of 77. With a support rating of 30, Dracula is more than a hero. He is an epic character. So, Brawlers, what can you say about this frightening, mysterious, yet fascinating creature of Eternal Brawl? Kinda makes me want to dress up like him for Halloween. Do you have your costume yet? Tell me. And have you ever dressed up as Dracula or a vampire? I feel like that's a very cool classic one. I want to know. Send me your past Halloween photos on Twitter, on Telegram. Tell me what you dressed up on Discord. Basically on all our social media, I want to know. And if you already know what you're going to dress up as, hit me up. I need ideas. Anyhow, Brawlers, remember that you can check all of the characters that we are introducing in the Eternal Brawl website, eternalbrawl.io, and that in the next video, I will continue to share another character from the pool of these amazing heroes, and more and more and more. So please stay tuned. Now, don't forget, if you're not doing it yet, to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Telegram, on Discord, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It was so fun talking with you, and stay cool, Brawlers!